welcome. Thanks so much for joining again. And I'm really pleased that you had such a good experience with the session yesterday, and you have moved forwards with your vision, your goal, and your plan. And yesterday, Gemma has very kindly shared her thoughts, and Emma did not have the opportunity because of the sound challenge. So I don't know if this is okay today, Emma. And I also know that Phyllis wanted to share her experience with what we've done. So if that's okay, we're going to start today just doing a small step back and just having a look at what happened yesterday. Also, so I know exactly where you are today and what are the questions you might have, maybe anything that's still not quite clear. So Emma mentioned yesterday detailed planning. So we can talk about this as well before we then move into the third part today. So there is really time now to make sure that all your questions are answered and everything that's still open or outstanding or anything that has come up overnight. Sometimes, these things, we wake up with these things in the morning and have more questions, anything like this that I can answer for you. So if that's okay, I'm going to unmute Phyllis and bring her in. Hi, Phyllis.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, brilliantly.
Yeah, thank you, Joanna. So following your session yesterday, I actually been able to actually sit down and then start thinking about my personal goal. So it is actually just a really short goal anyway. So it just basically I've been struggling to complete my dissertation for my master, so I'm using that as my goal to finish. So in my head I have some idea what to do. So what you have suggested, put it down on a piece of paper, and it helped me to visualize what is actually my progress. So I instead of doing it on my paper, I do it in Excel. So what you suggest, looking at from the high level plan. So from now to the deadline, how can I split my time in the so I did that for every 4 weeks, and then each month, what do I need to do? And then I have some idea what I can do in this 4 session. And then maybe I will say I need to read up a certain paper, do some background check, and then some probably more practical work. So I have some idea. So the plan that I have done is still really high level. Mm-hmm. So I haven't done it so I have put that into maybe for this week I need to do this session, for the second week I need to do that, but I haven't gone down to the really details, say Monday to Sunday, what do I need to do on Monday, Tuesday, because I don't know as much what I need to do. So maybe the question for you, Joanna, is if we don't know what we don't need to what we know to do, so how can we actually put down such a detailed plan back down to daily, so that we can help ourselves to visualize this is what we're doing.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing, and thanks. I think this is a fabulous question. You're very right. You don't know what you don't know, right? So what I always recommend is when you're in a situation where actually you need some expert knowledge, is to have a look at who has done it before. So in your case, is there a professor who can maybe answer some of the questions? Are there any people who maybe finished last semester or last year and are ahead in the community? Because I think you have quite a broad community, don't you, in that group? Are there any experts? Are there people, in forums, online, in the group, in the community, maybe some former students who can share their experience and what they have been doing and what worked well? Do you have such communities or access to such a professor or teacher?
No. We do have a Slack group, which all either the past student, the current student, they all join, so that people do talk about their work, but probably they don't talk about something as detailed as daily plan. Maybe they will have a more overall, and even if you talk to the professor, then or your the tutor, the supervisor, then they would not give you such a detailed plan.
Mm-hmm.
So I think probably is something that maybe I need to dig into a bit more, maybe when I start actually looking into the paper, or maybe when I'm actually looking into more like the practical side, then I can think about like maybe day one, I can finish this part, then day two, then I can finish that. Then maybe it has to be done later on when I know a little bit more about the item for that week that I need to do.
Yes. Yes, so I think because you still have some time, what you might want to try and do is to see if you can create almost like a pattern that you can replicate. So for example, if you need to read a certain number of books to be able to use those references for your work, if you have to read, I don't know, 5 or 10 books, what's the most efficient way of getting that content? How long does it take you? And what's the most efficient way to actually taking the content and integrating it into your piece of work? And try this with a couple of books or sources, and then see what's most effective and efficient, and then potentially be able to then give more detail to your plan. So sometimes the detailed plan doesn't come together straight away. Sometimes you actually need to do a bit more work between when you have the higher level plan and the more detailed plan, because as you were saying, there are actually too many unknowns. The question is, how can you fill those gaps? So if nobody wants to talk about the daily plan as such, you could ask them, literally, can you tell me what you did on those days of the week, for example, if you have someone where you have this relationship. So ask them very specific questions to get very specific answers. And this sometimes really helps. And also, when you said you have the monthly goal, the question is, what's the monthly milestone or the sub goal that you have for the month? What is? Can you give me an example?
So one is probably say like because so I need to understand the data that I'm looking at. So I am actually saying maybe the first week I need to actually read up like what the data that I'm doing my project on. That is quite a lot of like resources online that which I can read up and then play around with the data. And then so this is like my first week. And then the second week will be maybe looking at some white paper, and then see how I can use those particular skill to apply to my data. So that would be like maybe my second week and third week, because like the paper, that is like quite a few papers that I need to read up so that I can apply to the data. So that is kind of like this kind of things. So the suggestion that you say like milestone would be good, because like each week I would have like to complete the section of my work. So I would say by Sunday, I will have complete everything. And then have I done everything that I need to do? And is that like up to the standard that I want, that I can move on to the second stage?
Yes. Yes. So is this helpful?
Yeah, very helpful. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you. Thanks very much. And I hope this has been helpful for Gemma and Emma as well. So if that's okay, Emma, are you okay to just briefly share also what your experience has been since yesterday? Because I know that you mentioned you had some questions around how to break down to this level of detail as well. Okay, the workbook. Okay, so if that's okay, I just hopefully this is going to work. Emma, can you hear me at all?
Hello, can you hear me?
Oh, brilliant! Yes,
Yay.
your mic is working perfectly. Amazing.
Yeah. So yesterday, to be honest, I didn't really know what to expect.
Okay.
Coming in. So I know that we've chatted before, Joanna, and that was really helpful. So I was really pleased to be able to come on to this, just to think, oh, this is good, get a wee bit more detail and a wee bit more understanding. And this is going to be really helpful. So it was really helpful yesterday, and I did have a breakthrough.
Oh my, that's amazing.
Yeah. So I think your illustration of breaking it down like you would driving a car.
Okay.
And that somehow resonated with me, and I could actually understand, right, okay, so what's all the different steps that you need? What are the milestones? What are the kind of time frames that you need, that would be needed in order to get all these things done? And then I looked at, and I think that's the thing as well, so just really, yeah, breaking it down into milestones and subheadings, and then my time scale as well. So I have a very clear and definite month of when I want this to happen. So I broke it down into like, how many weeks away is that?
Yeah.
And using the weeks that I've got, or the months that I have, and just breaking it down into milestones and the steps involved, I was then able to say, right, okay, so in kind of week 1 to 4, in month 1, I need X, Y, and I need A, B, and C done. In month 2, we need to be looking at this, and this next. And then in the final month, because it's like 3 months away, in the final month, then this is going to be the summary of it. This is when everything kind of the jigsaw pieces all fit together. So that was really my breakthrough, because I know it sounds really easy to other people, but I just had a real mental block as to, well, how do I do this? What do I need to do? And a bit like what Phyllis was saying, I don't really have the detail as such from one day to the next day. But I know last night I was able to jot down the milestones, jot down the headings, and then using today I was kind of thinking, right, what days of the week do I have spare that I have got a couple of hours per day that I can do this? And then I was kind of breaking it down into, okay, so I'm going to use my day off for doing this, my day off for doing that, and that's at least 2 bits sorted out, and that's the main part sorted out. And as long as I've got small tasks that I know I can do in that small amount of time, then I think it's just going to build. I think the more and more you get into the process, the more and more you realize, okay, oh, hang on, I need to do that. I need to put that in. I need to put this in. And I think if you're doing this every kind of week, then you'll be able to build that in as and when things come up.
Fantastic. Oh, I'm so pleased. And I just have to say that, things are only easy when someone else does them. For us, and to really say this, I really appreciate it, and thank you so much for sharing this as well. So again, with what we're going to be covering and doing today, if there's anything at all, any questions you have, please do let me know, just so I can continue supporting you on this journey and following that breakthrough. Thank you so much, Emma.
Okay, thanks, Giovanna.
And then, so Gemma, I know we've spoken yesterday. Is there anything as well that you would want to share or ask, anything at all following yesterday? Or are you okay?
Hi, sorry, I was just typing a response then.
Sorry, I thought it might be just easier bring you on, because I know the group who is here right now, everyone is 100%, 150% committed. So I just want to make sure that you get the maximum value from this session as well.
So I guess I don't have any questions. I'm really enjoying the process, and the workbook is excellent, because even before I came on the call yesterday, I'd looked at that kind of visual that was on there in terms of my ideal business, what it looks like, and I'd already started to jot notes around that. And so between yesterday and today, I've gone in and completed all of the sections about ideal client solution, business setup, etc.
That's so much work. Congratulations, really.
Thank you. I'm in the flow. So I've done the whole bit around the think and feel and the goal. Because I was working all day today, I haven't had the chance to put the images in. But I want to spend a bit more time doing that, because I want images that will work for me. And then I've done my 12 months goals. I just need to finish off the 3 months in the 1 week. And I also had a bit of time to look at start, stop and continue, and I've done a little bit on that as well.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, so a great process. It's kind of started, a flow. So I suppose, making the most of it whilst I'm in it.
Yes, fantastic. And thank you so much, because it makes such a difference when everyone is really all in and not just dabbling with it. I mean, for the whole group and everything that you've shared, Phyllis, Emma, and Gemma, now you, thank you so much, because it really helps everyone to keep moving and with the momentum. With that, we're going to move on to today's content. Again, it's this is really the third one of the group of contents of vision, goal planning, and then accountability, which is effectively the sustainability factor, I call it, compounding action. So let me just share the slides with you, just so we're all on the same page as to where we are, what we're doing. So again, if you have any questions, any observations at all, please put them in the chat, and then I'm going to, when I come out of the slides, I'm going to be able to respond. And just to sum up, yesterday we've looked at the vision and the goal and the planning, and really congratulations. I think you've done an amazing job with really using the time so well, investing in yourself to actually get that outcome and get that goal. So really thank you. That's the ideal outcome when it really helps, as it seems to do for yourselves. So what we're going to concentrate on today is the third part. So when you have the vision that drives you forward throughout the challenges on the way, and you have the goals, so it's clear where you're going, and the plan, so you know how you're getting there, then the most important thing to look at is how you're actually going to sustain this all. So almost the fundament of the building, of vision, which might be the roof, and the goals and the plan, which are the main part of the house, and then the fundaments, the compound, what I call compounding action. And what is quite interesting is I think some of you might be familiar with the term compound interest. And what it means is when you start with, let's say, £1,000 in savings or investment, and then you get an interest on top of it, and then you invest that base capital amount plus the investment, the interest, that you got on top, then obviously the interest is going to be then on a higher base going forward. And as the capital and interest rolls over, obviously the interest on top of the full amount keeps growing, because the base amount that's collecting interest is growing as well. So this is the compound interest principle, and this exactly the same way applies to actions. And that's quite staggering, because people sometimes want to go from A to Z, so from being in a place wherever they are to being all of a sudden, having $1 million in their account, or being 20 kilograms lighter, or, having 3 degrees. And what they don't consider, that's actually an accumulation of many small actions on the way that add up and compound to achieving that great goal. So this is why planning is so important at the small levels, because a lot of the smaller actions and activities add up to that big goal and the vision in the end. So we've covered this yesterday. We've covered also your feedback and any questions you've had. So thank you for that. The workbook, I know all three have it. I saw, Emma, your comment around you're not able to fill it in. So there has to be some benefits of being a coachee with me. So all my coachees have all of these templates and much more. They are all fillable templates and interactive templates. But, I keep this for the coachees and paying clients so that they have a benefit from that as well. However, what you have is all the contents. I appreciate you cannot fill it in directly. However, you can print it out, fill it in by your hand, and actually writing things down as well very often codifies them in our brain and makes them more tangible, more real as well. So actually printing out, writing things down, or for example, what Phyllis was describing before, where she was typing the plan into an Excel, which is also a form of writing something down, is actually helping to maintain that focus, and it makes it just more real doing it that way as well. So compounding actions are really, really important. And what I'm going to share with you is some of the ways that are easy, straightforward, not not always maybe there might be some challenges with maintaining them. However, what I'm trying to give you is a way of really putting all the actions that you have, that you've identified, into your routine and your life in a way that minimizes the chances of it not succeeding. So minimize the chances of you not doing it or it not happening. So I call them also fail-safes, what we're going to be looking at right now. And basically, when it comes to compounding action or accountability, and some mindset elements play into this as well, normally there are three main reasons why people fail to be accountable, which means actually take full responsibility for doing things and moving things forward and getting them done. And first of all, very often it is that people just don't know where to start with accountability. This is a word that and again, a lot of people have spoken to me about this. They've had bad experiences with. So accountability, they've seen it being used as a beating stick, to name and shame, things like this. And this has put a lot of people off. So when you, for example, think about an extreme of accountability, David Goggin talks about his training with the Navy SEALs. And he's talking about, he went through very grueling 18 months where his bones were broken and a lot of things, very tough things happened. And for some people, this is the image they have when it comes to accountability, going for something regardless of anything else. However, the reality is that accountability, the purpose of accountability is to help you move from where you are today, and we've spoken about this yesterday, to where you want to be, so where your goal is, or goals on the way to achieving your vision. So it is really, really important to make sure that you actually consider accountability as what I call a safety net and a fail-safe in what you do, and not something negative. So accountability has to be something positive. Then another reason why people don't succeed with accountability and accountability actions is because they believe they've tried it all before and didn't work. So it's very interesting, because when you look at people who are very successful, they actually step the amount of accountability they have up the more successful they are. So effectively what they are doing is they're saying, the more success I have, the more help, support, and fail-safes I need to be even more successful. Because there are more challenges, there are more demands on my time, there are more distractions as well. So I need that help to keep me on track even more than ever. And it's very interesting to look at that. And we come to the different types of accountability in a moment. And I'm sure you're going then to start seeing what I mean when I say the more successful someone is, the more accountability they actually build in to keep going that direction they are on. And finally, some people where accountability falls over for them is they don't believe they need it. And there are some amazing people who are naturally incredibly accountable, and they just get everything done themselves, and they always achieve everything they want. However, this is a very, very small minority. Most people need help, support, fail-safes, and safety nets. And these are things that really help instead of burdening them, and really increase the chances of success of getting to that goal and achieving ultimately that vision. So when someone says you just want to need to want it enough, and then you don't need accountability checkpoints, I have to say this does not, in reality, work for very many people. So most of us achieve much more and much better, much more effectively where we have that accountability support and fail-safes. So the template, when you look at the workbook again, on the second page, page number 7, you have the full accountability checklist, and you'll be delighted to hear that while it's in the workbook right now, I'm going to share with you at the end. Actually, I put the link already into the workbook. So when you click on the link, and let me know afterwards that it definitely works, it should take you to an interactive accountability checklist. So you get exactly the same what people working with me and paying clients get. This interactive template. So the way how it works is it has 3 parts. And obviously, everything starts with a goal. So accountability has to be against the goal, what you're trying, well, not trying, but what you're aiming to achieve and looking to achieve. So this is something that you fill in based on what you're aiming for right now and what you have identified yesterday. And then the 3 types of accountability support you can have is, and I call them leverage, you can use in a positive way. That's why I said leverage, either people around you to help you with accountability, or processes, so build processes into your day, into your routines, to or make process part of your routine to make sure that certain things happen that you have defined are critical to achieving your goal. And finally, you can do things within your environment to help you to stay focused and on track, because that's really what it's about. I would like to briefly go through these different elements, if that's okay. And again, if you have any questions, just pop them into the chat. I can see there are a couple of messages, so I'm going to come to those in a couple of minutes. So when you're transparent about what you do and talk to people about what you do, what you're planning, first of all, you never know who might turn out to be a supporter and help you with that. But also, the more you talk about it, the more real also it becomes for you, and the less likely you are to not do it. Because ultimately, you know, we all want to keep face. This is quite intrinsic in the human nature. We don't want to be exposed in any way. So the more you want to talk about it, the more transparent you are about what you do, the more support you might be getting, but also the less likely you are not to do it. When you're teaming up with someone else, so this can work in accountability groups. There are some in one of the networks I'm in, and some of them work really, really well, supporting each other. This can be, for example, a group of people who meet every morning to jog together, because they know they get together and they support each other. They'll be all there. So it's easier to do it than, you know, standing out there in the pouring rain on your own and then doing your 5 kilometers or however far you want to run. So teaming up with someone who's pursuing something, a similar ambition, really helps. Working with people who have complementary skill sets. So this is something quite different. So here we're talking about effectively looking at what you're great at and maybe what you're not so great at, and where your time is going as well. And saying maybe there are administrative tasks that you're doing, or maybe there are things that someone can do better, faster, and maybe cheaper than you. And seeing if you can maybe pass it on, outsource them. And actually, this is also something which you might consider doing, you know, within a family. When someone is a better cook, maybe they can they could cook more meals, while you are able to do other things that you do well. Then joining a group of like-minded individuals. So this can be similar with teaming up with someone who has similar ambitions and values as well, potentially, and pursuing the same goal. Accountability partner is great, and what you can do is to have either an accountability buddy. So this would be kind of the same level, where you know, 2 people who are looking to achieve the same goal, maybe a promotion in a company, would get together and support each other in that process. But this would be at effectively the same level, where you might find a different type of accountability partnership. They're actually companies that provide professional accountability partners. And this is then a chargeable service, a paid for service. And this might be then much more challenging and demanding potentially, because it's a paid for service, but the outcome aims to be the same, which is achieving the goal. So then moving on to processes that can help us. 3 great habits a day produce results. So very often people have a morning and an evening routine that helps them to get ready for the day, and then get ready for a good rest, and also the following day. And there might be something around health or happiness that's integrated into the day as well. And just continuing with those 3 habits might make a huge difference. And again, identifying what they are is very often the first step. When you have a to-do list, very often we tend to start with the easier stuff first, and that's not helping with accountability, because very often by the time we get to this really big and important task, maybe we're actually running out of time, we have to move on to something else, and it just really drags behind us and ultimately stops us from moving forward. It gets this really big showstopper that we don't get done. So setting things like text alarms and just other visual prompts. So some people use, for example, Pomodoro. I don't know if you know this technique. So to focus, they would have, the principle is that you can set online a timer. You work very focused for 25 minutes and then have a 5-minute break. And in that 5-minute break, you could go for a quick walk, you could get a cup of tea, make a phone call. So, but the idea is that you really relax in some way in those 5 minutes. So then you can do another 25 minutes of really focused work. And there are variations on this. So one of the people I work with, he is actually now looking at variations of that 5-minute time, because he's seeing if there's maybe something that works better for him. So again, nothing is set in stone, but this is a great starting point, especially for people who get distracted or torn into different directions. It really helps to get stuff done. Delegating outsourcing, I mentioned this briefly. So this is very often for tasks that someone else can do better, faster, and more cost effectively. And don't let one setback steal your dream. That's actually really important, and it's worth always remembering. Yesterday I shared the emotional journey, but the reality is that sometimes we have this full emotional journey during just one day, or sometimes even 1 hour. So remembering that these are things that pass, the challenges pass, and when we keep our eyes on goal, on the vision, we will eventually get there by achieving the goals on the way, taking the actions, completing the actions on the way to the goals. And finally, the environment. So we spoke about the vision yesterday, and you've worked on the vision and the goals. So it's very, very important, I mentioned yesterday, to have it actually physically, visually, somewhere where you can look at it recurrently. But what many people also do now is they actually record it. So one of my former mentors, what he has basically recorded his whole life as he sees it in his vision. And every day when he drives to his gym, he listens to it and he keeps repeating it. So every day he gets between half an hour and 1 hour of his vision repeated to himself again and again. And this is something that can also work quite well in addition to the visual as well. Again, we have different ways of absorbing information. Some people write it down every single day, their key element of the vision. So there's different ways, but it's really important just to reiterate every single day. Include others. That's really important because, again, when we set out to achieve a goal, we tend to be very passionate, really going for it. And sometimes we act like someone who is on a desert island, forgetting that there is actually a whole environment around us of people where we interlinked. And I sometimes compare to a circle where we all hold hands. And when you start entering, you're looking to achieve a goal, very often you make a change. So basically, all of a sudden you move out of that circle where everyone has been holding their hands before, but now all of a sudden it looks to people that they are being left behind, and of course they will be then fearful of not respond positively because they don't understand what's going on. So keeping them involved is really, really important. Positive supportive environment, again, this will mean sometimes saying no, which is the last point as well. And also trying to when it's a very busy day, trying to very consciously maybe carve out half an hour, as Emma was saying before, or find the day which matches then specifically the actions that need to be done that will bring you closer to your goal. And temptations, distractions. So again, we know what they are most of the time. And again, sometimes it involves saying no to something just because this is actually in the long run going to make it easier for us to achieve the goal. It's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy. It can be very challenging. But if you manage to do it once, you will then find it easier to do it again. So it has to start somewhere. So this is the run through, the different ways of how you can become more accountable, put different fail safes and safety nets in effectively to support your goal. And I come to the example in a moment. But what I'm going to ask you now, in a second, once I've checked the questions, is so first of all, when you look at the template of the accountability checklist, you might be actually surprised to find that there are already things that you're doing. So especially those, if you have a diary or calendar, you already have put some accountability fail-safes, maybe without even realizing that that's what you've done. So it's really important to first of all start with what you already have, and then in the next step move on to make sure that in each of the three categories, so where you leverage people, process, and environment, you have two different ways of how you help with accountability, actually maintaining your plan and continue with your actions. And the reason why it's important is because sometimes one of them doesn't quite work out as planned. And then there is still another one in place in that category that supports you. So this is why having two has actually proven to be quite effective and give just this additional layer of security, so to speak, that your actions and your way forward is supported through some inbuilt elements in your day, in your week, in your month. And finally, making the commitment stick. So whatever you decide, the reason why it's a one-pager is so you can print it out, again, put it somewhere visible. You can have a look at it once a week to see, is this still all in place? Is this still helping? Do I need to make some changes? Is there maybe something better that I can put in place? Maybe you meet someone who's actually pursuing a goal and you team up as accountability buddies. I had this conversation with someone from the group, from the Accountable Mindset community group today. You know, there are actually a lot of people who are looking for accountability buddies, but if nobody puts their hand up to find them, you know, they will not come out because everyone just thinks, wouldn't it be great to have one? But, you know, you post it, you find out there might be someone in the group who's looking for an accountability buddy just like you are. And that's then a great way potentially that you didn't have before of supporting your journey. So that's really what it is. I know that the font on this is a bit small, I apologize. This is actually my accountability checklist. And you can see, so my goal, it's actually my mission for this year, is to help 100 individuals, ambitious individuals, to achieve the #1 goal. So this is my mission. I called it my goal because actually I have a bigger vision than that. But this is really what I'm working towards. And I have identified the 6 different ways of how I can use accountability and different accountability actions to keep me on track and keep me really present and showing up and doing everything to support the 100 people, finding them, allowing them to find me as well, and making this happen. So I'm going to come out right now and check if you have any questions on the topic of accountability. Let me see. Just bear with me for a second. Sorry, this is not quite the effect I'm aiming for. Sorry, Gemma. Now, here we are. Brilliant. Okay, so thanks, Gemma. No questions for you. Okay, am I great? So it's not a deal breaker with the templates. Okay, brilliant. Okay. So everyone is okay. Everyone is clear with what I'm saying and what I'm asking you to do. So the ultimate accountability checklist, put in your goal, find your 6 commitments. And if someone would like to share at the end, this would be absolutely amazing. And I'll be very keen to hear it because, again, as I mentioned before, you know, sharing, talking about it makes achieving it so much more likely and probable and realistic. Also in your mind. Okay, so if you have no questions, yep, great question. Thanks, Emma. So absolutely. So when you have a lot of goals, it is, when you think about, go back to the plan, right? There are different categories. that you have in your life, right? That's really, our life consists of, it's like a puzzle, consists of many elements. So what I try to offer is a way of looking at it as holistically as one, right? So you might have different goals in different parts of your life at the same time, absolutely. However, what you have to consider is how much time is it going to take for each of the activities. So then ultimately you achieve the goal. So you might find that actually all the goals are not running with the same intensity during the same period of time. Because again, this is why I threw in this bonus template for start, stop, continue, is because when you're looking at how much time you actually will need to implement the change, unless you're really bored and not doing anything right now, right? And I don't think this applies. The reality is you will have to drop something, right? And it can be something as straightforward as, I don't know, an hour of Netflix, hypothetically, right? That you decide to trade in for an investment into your business. This is an example, right? But it is really important to think about, so again, I have a couple of templates which actually help you look at your time and where your time goes, and then to quantify which parts of that actually you might be willing or able to trade in for doing some other activities that are going to be really helpful with moving your goal forward. So the reason why I use Netflix is because a lot of us actually spend a lot more time than we think on social media. And, whether this is chatting with friends or being on the phone or, Netflix or any kind of TV, this is very often where there are some savings to be made. And that time can be reduced and some additional time generated for activities that we need to do to achieve our goal. So I don't know if this answers the question. Avoiding temptation. Okay. Brilliant. Gosh, who's ahead of the game here? Emma, brilliant. Yeah, I love to hear it. So I'm just going to quickly answer Phyllis's question. Avoid temptation, distractions, right? So this is really where it's a big challenge, that's for sure. However, this is where we also have to be maybe sometimes tougher with ourselves than in other areas. So let's take the example of, I'm using again the example of Polish food, right? So I'm Polish Austrian, and I absolutely love Polish food. A lot of the Polish food that's amazing is actually desserts, cakes, sweets. So full of gluten and full of sugar, right? So the worst, basically, it really kind of, I'm gluten intolerant, so there is already a problem. But also sugar, sugar is effectively a poison. I mean, chemically it's a poison, and it's very addictive too. So it's not a great thing to be eating too much of. So I know when I go to the Polish shop, to get even things that are healthy, like special Christmas stuff, I will be passing next to the sweets counter, and I will be incredibly tempted. So there is two ways. Either I ask a friend to buy it for me when I have the option, or if I have the option, and I have done this actually last year, I really prime myself to ignore. I know exactly where the sweet stuff is, right? Where all the good, best stuff is, the most tempting one. And I literally would walk in there and I'm not looking in that direction. I know where to pass quickly. I know what to avoid, but I literally, I'm not kidding you. I really prime myself before I go, and I visualize how I'm going to be passing next to it and not buying it. So this is something, and how I help myself. Sometimes I crack. I'll be honest with you. Sometimes I crack and I buy something. And then I try to find someone who maybe wants to share it with me as well, the neighbors or one of the friends if they're passing. But it is about doing the best you can. So I'm not going to beat myself up. Of course, I'm not happy if I bought something and then ate something. It's not ideal. But again, if I was doing it all the time and I was buying 10 cakes, that's really terrible thing. And that's one thing. When you sometimes have a challenge and after that you're really aiming to improve, that's slightly different. So again, find the balance between avoiding temptation but also not beating yourself up and really creating this negative energy. Just think about how to do it better next time, how to avoid it. So that's just a good example. But, you know, social media, again, the same thing. You know, leaving it in a different room maybe to where you are, so it actually takes an effort to get there. Or what helps sometimes also are audio prompts. So setting yourself literally like an alarm for after 15 minutes, you stop, I don't know, watching TV or being on social media, anything like this. And again, it takes training. But what I found very good, what Tony Robbins was saying is, don't ask yourself how you feel about it. Just do it. And when you look at things like, so Micah's morning routine, for example, it's not like I feel doing it every single morning, but I find when I start thinking about it, this is where the probability of me going, oh, I just don't quite feel like it, and actually I have to do something else first, the probability of me not doing it is much higher than when I just get up and do what I need to do as part of my morning routine. So actually giving ourselves time for choice and decision making when we know something is not good for us or needs to be done, whichever one it is, create sometimes that space to actually start thinking on its giving into temptation, let's say. Okay, so I hope this is helpful, these examples and suggestions. But again, if you need more, we can have a chat about this later as well. Okay, brilliant. So I'm going to bring up again the 3 steps. And 5 minutes, so 55, I'm going to see you back here. And I'm looking forward, Emma, maybe Jim and Phyllis as well, to hearing all about your commitments, accountability for yourselves. Brilliant. So coming back, let me see. So I think Emma volunteered before to share with us, if that's okay. So I'm going to unmute you again, Emma. Okay. Right. Go in, on.
Okay, so the first one was the people.
Yes.
So we had already spoken about this prior, Joanna. Well, actually, no, the next one. So the first thing that I needed to do was because it's my dream and it's my goal and it's my vision. I never really spoke to my husband or my family about it. It was just I just kind of had it, and it was in my head, and I didn't really do much about it really. So now I'm able to speak to my husband about what my vision is and why it's a vision for us as a family as opposed to my vision.
Yes.
So that's something that I'm kind of working on just now, is kind of using my husband as being able to talk more openly about what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So that's the first kind of part. And then the second one is I've recently teamed up with an accountability partner that I found from another networking group. So we share similar values, similar vision, and we're kind of like-minded.
Yes.
So we are kind of teaming up together as accountability partners, and also with potentially maybe joining up to do something in further down the line if that works out.
Great.
So that's the leveraging people part, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. That sounds great.
Yeah. So that's the first part, and then the processes. So yeah, I've started to do this with routine. So 3 great habits repeated daily. So my first habit that I do every day, and it's good because it kind of crosses over two kind of goals. So it's good for my health and well-being, but also I find it really therapeutic, and it actually builds up my creativity, and it kind of just gets my juices going, and it gets my brain kind of started. So my first thing is going for a walk every morning.
Brilliant.
So as soon as I drop the children off to school, I just have, and it could even just be like 20-30 minutes if I'm working that morning, then I would just have a quick kind of 20-minute walk. But it just does me the world of good, and it's a walk, and it's in the fresh air, and it's a quick walk, and I get a lot from it. And it lets me kind of start my day off well and have a think about what's happening that day, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
And then I've started to actually plan what tasks need to be done for the next day. So I've started to do that already. And this chat today has just really cemented that that's actually something that I really do need to do and bring forward on a daily basis. Whereas before I was just kind of doing it maybe on a weekly basis, but now I need to kind of do it actually and make that as a daily habit and a daily routine. And then when I was doing that, I just got an enormous sense of satisfaction of actually being able to cross out and tick all the things that I was able to do. And then obviously now, if I'm doing that on a daily basis now, which I'm hoping to do, is obviously use that to plan for the next day. So anything that got pushed to the side then can go on to the next day. And just going back to what you were talking about, Joanna, I've realised that actually I'm really, really, really bad at not starting with my challenging tasks first.
Okay.
So that's the reason why I have not put this down, because I know that I'm really, really bad and naughty at doing that, but I can't do it. I'd just rather, if I can get into the habit of getting this done first, then that will be eventually my goal, is to have that. But just to get things started and just to get going with this, I know that I won't be able to do that first of all.
Yes.
And
then,
so
can I just say, and it's great that you're recognizing it, because recognizing is where you have a challenge. This is the first step to making a change further down the line as well.
Okay, good. And then the second part of that is, now I've done this for other things, but I haven't necessarily thought about doing it for this part. So setting an alarm and a text or a calendar and other visual prompts. So when you were talking about spending time on social media and emails and things like that, it's really, really easy to get caught up with the time. And then like an hour later, you're thinking, oh my goodness, how have I spent an hour doing that? So I think I'm going to start trying to just set an alarm for, right, okay, you're getting 20 minutes or you're getting half an hour. And as soon as that alarm hits, then you have to get back to what you're supposed to be doing, just to kind of break it up and see if that works. And also to set a reminder for the tasks that I have planned out. Just to have it kind of there and in the background so that I know, so that I'm just kind of I'm using that to build up momentum and just as a reminder so that I don't get distracted by other things that might come along.
Brilliant. That's great, because I think one of the greatest things is when you can see already things that you first of all recognize, things that resonate and you recognize in your life. And so first of all, you create the awareness, but then you start looking at how to make a change and also maybe use things you already know and do elsewhere, and then transfer them into other parts of your life. That's really effective.
Yeah. So that's what I've chosen for the leverage. And for the environment, so again, we spoke about this recently as well. So as I said before, I have been really insular in my vision. I've just kind of kept it to myself and I haven't included anybody else in this at all. But you suggested before that I actually include my family and I include my husband and I include my children in the vision and in my plans and explain the reason why I'm doing this. And I really actually want them to kind of come on the journey with me, and you know, for them to kind of cut out pictures of different holidays they want to go to, for example, and just really include like the whole family, and this is like our family journey that we're going to build and dream together. So I really like that, and I, you know, I really didn't think of doing it that way, and it's going to work out so much better. And just initially, just building on from that is keeping our vision and goals visible. So we're just going to have it in a central space that we're all there, we're all doing it. And then whenever the children, you know, it's easy for them to stick a picture down or stick some words down onto it, because it's there for us all to use, and it's there for us all to adapt and add on to and take away from. So I really like that. I think it's gonna work well in our family, and again it leads on to creating a positive and supportive environment for us all as part of our family.
Absolutely. So these things very rarely work in isolation. Very often they start to radiate to other areas as well that are really helpful and supportive and beneficial.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at just now anyway, but as it could change, but that's what I'm focusing on.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for sharing this. It's great, and I hope you're going to put it up and be looking at it and start implementing all the amazing things with your family as well, going forward. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And is there, Gemma and Phyllis, is there anything that you would like to share as well in terms of your accountabilities? Yep. Cool, Phyllis. You on, Phyllis?
Okay. Let's have a look. So in terms of like leverage people, I think is because like this goal is something that I've been struggling with. So like I trying to hide that from people that I haven't actually done it. So I think what you actually suggest that be transparent and tell people about it, so it will probably put a bit of like pressure on me so that I will actually start doing the project. But one good thing is I do have like a classmate which I can actually do it with, and I've been like doing that with her for about a couple of months now, so that like every 2 weeks we have a Zoom meeting just to see how our progress is actually doing. So it is really helpful. So now she finished her exam, so we can probably do a bit more frequent, so that it would be really useful just to get my things working. And in terms of like the leverage process, so the 2 tasks that I actually put in is something that I know that I need to do it, but I've never really do them. So one is like the 3 great habits. So I kind of know these things from different sources, but I never actually sit down just to do at least like 15 minutes of that. So I would, because of that, what we are doing now, so I think I would actually force myself trying to do that, because apart from this goal that I want to do, I do have other things that I actually want to learn, so that it will be like really good way of like maybe spending a small time, which I can do other things, not just concentrate on one thing, so that I can get it going. And then the other one is like start with the task that you find more challenging. This is like something that I think everyone's having the most problem. I mean, I do. So this is like the most difficult part. I always start with the easy part because easy. But actually, if you actually finish, I know that myself, but I never actually really do it. And it's like to start with like your most challenging part. So like when you've actually finished, you actually have like probably some sort of like sense of relief that you actually done it. So I think it is a really great way to actually to start your day, or maybe to finish your task. So I will try to do that part. And then the leverage environment, the most difficult one for me is temptation and distraction. That's why I asked you the question earlier. So for me, it's YouTube.
Right.
So I have like put in some extension on my Chrome to actually stop me looking at like YouTube, but it just doesn't work. So I need to find other ways. Maybe I need to, I don't know, I need to find some way to actually avoid temptation to that. But I'm trying to find way that like there's a like the on the point, I'm trying to find that like I know it will have more effect on me, and that's why I'm choosing those, and then say no to when you have to, without feeling bad about it. So if like what you're probably saying, social media, maybe like chat on WhatsApp, whatever, so I probably need to put my phone away so that it is hard to get to, so that I will have maybe a delegated 1 hour, just concentrate on what I need to do, and once I got a break, then I would go and look at it and stuff. So yeah, so I think like what you have actually put down on your checklist is actually a really good way. I mean, it's not like I don't know them, it's more like I don't want to do them.
And it's great that you're so open and honest about it, because again, acknowledging it is a huge step forward. Just like you were saying before, you know, that you try to avoid the topic and try to not talk about it with others, because you were not happy with your progress. And it's actually a huge step forward to own up to it, really.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks very much for this. Fabulous. So we're going to wrap it up. I'm just going to share a final couple of slides with you, and also a couple of links. Sorry, just give me a second. I wanted to drop a couple of links for you to resources. Let me just do this now before I go to the slide. So in the chat right now, I'm putting 3 things in for you. So first of all, the accountability checklist, that you might already have the interactive version. If you want the interactive version, the link to it is just here, the first one. Then also, if you're not in the Accountable Mindset community on Facebook, it's very easy to join as well. So there is daily business accountability mindset information, great community growing every single day. And the third one is, following what we have been looking at and discussing, I also offer a complimentary session to answer any questions that you might have, any challenges that you're still facing with progressing and moving forward. So with that, oh, hold on, something in the chat. Brilliant. Just to finish off, let me share the last part. It's over to you now. So it has to be your commitment, and I hope you're going to make it to continue with the vision, with the goals and planning, and also with the accountability, so the compounding actions that you're going to take towards your goal. And we've looked at all of them. I hope I've answered all the questions you've had. I've worked with a number of individuals recently who I've been all able to help. So this has been a fantastic part of the mission that I'm looking to achieve, of helping 100 people to achieve the goal this year. And then I've just put the resources into the chat for you. And what I want to say is thank you so much for taking the time, for investing your time to be here with me yesterday and today. And I hope you really got a boost to getting after that goal that you have, which is part of your vision. And with any questions you have, please do connect with me either on any of the media or actually on email as well. That's Joanna at theaccountable-mindset.com. So you can reach me at, hold on for a moment. Can you see the links now? Apologies, I'm just going to post it again. Thanks for raising it. Should be able to see it now. So the first one again is the accountability checklist, the interactive one that normally just the coaching clients get. And then the community link is the second one. And then finally, if you want to book half an hour with me to again go through any questions you might have, just to give you that extra boost and push towards your goal, then that's available to you as well. So with that, are there any final questions that you have? Any feedback? How was that for you? Has it moved you forward? I hope this was time well invested on your part. Great. Okie dokie. So no questions. Thank you so much. It was an absolute pleasure to be here with you. And yes, I look forward to hearing how the implementation is going. You can always share this on the Facebook. It's a great in the group. It's a great accountability group as well. So thank you so much. Have a fantastic evening and hit your goals this year. Go for it. Take care. Bye-bye.